Ladies and gentlemen, today we are looking at two of the most influential sci-fi horror movies of all time. It is The Thing versus Alien. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to an episode of Versus. I am Brandon.
I'm Andrew.
And today we're going to be talking about two of the most influential sci-fi horror films of all time. And let me tell you, we have thought about this over and over and over again, and it is still tough. Andrew, we were talking about this just a little bit ago. This might be the toughest versus yet. It probably is even going to be tougher than Halloween 2 versus Friday Part 2 that we did.
Which I eventually conceded on, by the way.
You did, which is fun. But at that time, I think we did a cop-out and tied it. And I don't think, and I don't think that was probably the right thing for us to do. We might have to try that again one of these days. But today it's The Thing versus Alien. 1979 is when Alien was released, and 1982 John Carpenter released The Thing. The structure of Alien is classic horror at its finest, right? Classic, almost slasher type, but instead of a masked killer,
house flick, almost.
Right, it's more haunted house flick, slasher film, but it's with monster/alien. And it's confined to a specific setting, this being space, which adds a whole nother thing. This is definitely more horror than sci-fi. Just add that sci-fi element to it. I would say The Thing, I don't even know if The Thing would be more horror than sci-fi. Would you say that?
I think it's got elements of both. I think
it does have elements of both.
These are the two best at what they do as far as being like the nasty sci-fi horror films. Yeah, and that's why I decided to put them together.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be rough. I think I've got my mind made up, but we'll see. As we get along. And also, I want to mention that while Chris isn't here with us right now, we did get his picks for this. He is really busy this time of year with work, and we're hoping that he can join us again here real soon. But it's going to be just a little bit. So in turn, I did get a couple notes from him, and I got all of his picks, so he'll be able to maybe even potentially break a tie if there is one in something. But I think we're probably going to have a definitive answer today, but we'll see. So I guess we're going to get right into it. I think we got the categories set up like we've always done. This time, mostly the same categories. It's category 1 is story. We're going to be looking at 2, acting. 3, the score. 4, kills. And scare factor for the final category. We'll just get right into it, and we're going to go to category 1, the story. So, Andrew, I'll let you take this one on story first.
Yeah, this was a really rough one, but I eventually gave it to Alien. You could say it's just truckers in space, but then you've also got the fact that you find out later the company has sent them for this thing. When there's the reveal later with the android, you've seen that it's all a setup. The entire thing. So it's more than just a truckers in space kind of thing. The characters are set up so well. They're so defined. We'll get more of that into acting. But I love The Thing story too. And this was the one, when I put my 5 categories down, this is the one I had to choose last because I just couldn't
decide.
Because I do love that story in The Thing. Give it to Alien just by a smidge.
By a smidge. So I'll go ahead and give you mine first, and then Chris's. So I picked The Thing in this. I did really like the Alien story. I like most of the Alien stuff. The first Alien, I liked the story setting. Like you said, it took till half of the film, or a little over half the film, but you realize it's more to it than just like a trucker film, like you said, right? So it's hard. I edge it to The Thing a little bit, just because I think as much as the xenomorph is badass, and as haunting as that is, and I do like the story and the little twist there in the middle, I think the fact that it's not so much the origin of the monster or the alien in this case, it's just the what is it and what it's capable of. And while I think the xenomorph is amazing, I think The Thing is way, way more interesting and scarier, and we'll get into that later, but I think that whole thing and the following of these guys seem to work better for me. I like that better. I don't know if if it's right to give it to the Thing because it's. I don't know if I'd say it's necessarily a lot better. I just like it more, so that's why I'm picking it.
Even the subplots to these movies, like, with Alien, you've got the whole, the mystery the first time you see it of the chest burster and what it's doing, to John Hurt's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the
Kane, I think, right? Yeah, Kane.
Yes, I've seen that movie so many times, I just forgot his name.
There's a lot of characters to remember,
and then you've got the entire nature of the Thing where everybody's suspicious of everybody. This was so hard.
Yeah. Well, and that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's another element to it that I appreciated a lot. I think I like more is the not just the ongoing threat of the alien, of the xenomorph, right, in Alien, but the threat of not just this thing that they don't know where it's at, they don't know it's infected, and it's causing this paranoia beyond belief that they can't even trust each other, and they're just as dangerous to each other as that thing is to them, almost, right? So that's compelling as all get out. That's something I think that John Carpenter did very well, and I think it's one of his better films, top tier, as I believe you've mentioned before. Not that Alien isn't top tier, but it's.
There's people who like The Thing more than they like Halloween, and that's kind of hard to swallow. But
I understand. It is definitely Carpenter's one of his finest works. You know what I mean? Like, that is one of his best films. This is probably John Carpenter at his peak. Mm-hmm. And while Halloween is top tier as well, the fact that it was made with such a small budget, it's incredible. But I think this is definitely top tier stuff.
Well, what did Chris say?
Okay, so Chris actually picked Alien for the story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's a big Thing fan, right? He's a big fan of the Thing, but he picked Alien, and he didn't go into a lot of detail, but just reasoning for him and the story was just that it spawned so much, between the sequels, and there's a much larger story out there, add to the Predator stuff. I'm assuming is what he also meant by that. Like, there's so much there with the Alien series that I think that's why he went with it. Thing has, a prequel, and it has some it has a video game as well. But Aliens,
it
is really good. The Alien is just such a bigger franchise, and while some of them kind of piss the bed, I understand why he picked Alien, but that was surprising to me a little bit.
Yeah, it was too, because I know how much he loves the Thing.
Yeah, and there's another category here that I'm going to tell you about in a little bit that might surprise you. So story goes to Alien. You guys outnumbered me on that one. So we'll get into acting.
I don't know if it's the right pick, but it was how we felt today.
It's how we yeah, exactly. That's a good point. It's how we feel today. So if you want to take it into acting, I'll let you go ahead with category number 2.
Okay. Acting I also gave to Alien. While I love the Thing, there's so many characters that there's very little acting time for a lot of them. Like, people don't really remember Parker other than he's rolling a J, and stuff like that. There's so many characters, and where Alien has this really good cast, really outstanding cast. You've got Sigourney Weaver breaking out. Nobody knew who she was. Tom Skerritt is Dallas, and those two playing off of each other, where he's a little bit more loose and relaxed, and she's, by the book.
Yeah, she's more uptight. She's tough.
Yeah. Parker and Brett down in the bowels of the ship, talking about their shares and everything. What's her name? Lambert. The one, she's the conscience of everybody, kind of like Bill Paxton's character Hudson was in the second one.
Yeah, she's navigator.
Yeah, and everybody is so good. Even the robot Ash, like, you can tell he's off. At one point, he's just like jumping and running in place.
Yeah,
you're like, what the heck was that?
Yeah, and he did his best to override Ripley's authority at every turn as well. Yeah. So you definitely are like, what in the world is going on with this guy? And I mean, she wasn't in command yet, but it was still like, it's weird, definitely weird. And I agree with Lambert. I thought she was one of the most emotional people on. Obviously, she was scared, and I thought that really came through in this.
There's a scene where Ripley comes after she quarantines everybody after the thing's attached to Kane's face, and she comes through the corridor, and Lambert just slaps the ever-loving crap out of her. And she actually gave it to her because she was so wound up, like in the character. And it comes out on screen. But that's why I gave it to Alien. I love a lot of the performances in the thing. Of course, Kurt Russell and Wilford Brimley. And even the dog is one of my favorite actors in the thing. That scene where he comes down the hallway, and he's all spooky, and he hits his mark, and then looks in the room and walks off.
See the silhouette of the guy, and then walks off. Yeah.
To me, that's one of the best scenes in the entire movie.
You know, it's funny when you first start that film and you see him running, being shot at, and you're like, no, don't kill the dog, man. This is what a way to open up a movie, right? It's so crazy. It turns out there was a reason why they were trying to. For me, in acting, I went with The Thing. I do agree with a lot of your points on the stars in Alien. Tom Skerritt and Kurt Russell kind of having Battle of the Beards. I think Kurt Russell wins on that one.
Oh, definitely.
It took him like a year, and I know the feeling. You know, I mean, it's like a couple years on that. His is way better than mine.
You got nothing to be ashamed.
He's a beautiful man, though. You know what I mean? So I think that everybody in Alien did a good job. I think every character made sense and reacted to the situation like they should have. But I think they did the same thing in The Thing, and I think they did it better. And the reason why is, to me, I mean, it's hard. This is very narrow margin. You know what I mean? It's very close. But I think they did a little bit better. One, there was more of them reacting to each other. It's such a smart film in a way that if you look at any other horror movie, most of the time, most characters are dumb, right? They make stupid decisions. But I feel like, other than maybe one or two just fatal mistakes that can happen to anybody, almost every character in The Thing, even the side characters, right, the supporting characters, did the best they could with what they had. They reacted smartly to the best of their ability. Obviously, they didn't know what they were dealing with. But as time went on and they got more paranoid, everybody was smart, and I appreciate that more than any other film, right? Because, I mean, it's realistic to me. Like, most of these guys are going to be fairly smart. They didn't make dumb, cliche mistakes. The only one really dumb mistake wasn't even dumb. I think it was Fuchs, where he's sitting there doing Blair's research, right? He's digging into his diaries or his recordings or whatever he had. And then he sees some kind of figure pass by his doorway as he goes to approach the door. And then he follows him outside. And then you don't see him again until you find the body, right?
Yeah.
So, but I just think that they reacted so much better to the situation and the people around them, not to get even more long-winded than I already am, about it, than the people in Alien. I think half of them were really good, and I think the other few small supporting roles weren't bad, but I think that they were just there to get killed in the end.
Red-shirted.
Yeah, they're red-shirted, for sure.
I'm going against my point here, but there's a scene in Alien, or not Alien, in The Thing I wanted to give its due, and that's the scene where they get the body that was burnt at the Swedish camp, and they throw it on the table. John Carpenter does this 360 where you see everybody's face reacting to the nasty smell that they're all, and there's some really good acting in that scene, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I do too. I said it's top notch, man, all the way around for me. And the ending where they just kind of sit there. I mean, everything's super ambiguous in the movie, and which is what they wanted. Just Keith David and Kurt Russell sitting there knowing that they don't trust each other and that one of them could be infected. And there's some theories on if Keith David was actually infected or not. I think I've read that the idea was for neither one of them to be infected. I think you find out in the game or something later that was canon that they're not. Neither one of them were. But the theory is like, because Keith David, his breath, the fog in his breath wasn't as like dense, or I guess as much as Kurt Russell's was, who was just like, crazy amount of fog every time he spoke, that people think that was the creature, right? The thing. Huh. I don't know, just a theory. To get to Chris's picks, he also picked The Thing for acting. I mean, and how could you beat Wilford Brimley, no diabetes jokes here.
I'll kill you.
Just crazy Blair. And I mean, you want to talk about an awesome scene, right? Him destroy. It's sad that he killed all the rest of the dogs, but destroying the equipment and the vehicles and everything else, because he knew damn well that not one of them should have left that place, because he knew what it could be.
Yeah.
If the thing got out, and
how soon it could happen.
And how soon it could happen. In just a matter of a few years, I think, is what the simulation, the computer simulation said, which is pretty wild for 1982 for it to register a full simulation. Anyway, so that's acting. Let's move on to the score, and I'll let you take that away.
Okay, so for the score, I listened to both of these just on their own. At first, I'd picked Alien, and then I got to listening to it, and I had to go with The Thing. I had to go with The Thing, just that iconic bump.
I know. Yeah.
It's you can't beat it. Alien had a score that really fit the movie, fit every scene. Jerry Goldsmith, I think that's what he was going for. He was shooting for the scene. Everything for The Thing is really thematic, and that's what I loved about it. The one that really turned the corner for me is you had Stevie Wonder's Superstition.
Yes.
When the cook's going in the kitchen, and that set it over the top for me.
Yeah.
So I had to go The Thing.
Yeah. So I had The Thing, and then I changed it to Alien.
Oh wow.
And I don't know still right this moment if it was the best choice, because my gut tells me that I like The Things more. And I think personally, I would say I do. I would prefer The Thing soundtrack, and listening to it by themselves separately like you did, I would probably choose The Thing as well. The reason why I'm choosing Alien right now for this is because I think that it fits the setting better than... I think it works better within the film than... barely. I think as a nice little package in space, I think that orchestra style is just better, right? And that I still don't feel good about that, saying that right now. Like, that's how close and difficult this is for me.
We're talking about Jerry Goldsmith versus Ennio Morricone and John Carpenter.
I know, right? And like 9 times out of 10, I'm going to pick John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And my gut tells me that I'm making a mistake right now, right? But I feel like John Carpenter, you can throw in John Carpenter music into just about anything, and it's going to be amazing, and it's probably going to fit whatever film he does. And I prefer to watch that, and I prefer to listen to that. But I think, does it make any sense what I'm trying to say? I don't know if I'm conveying it in a proper way, articulate it in a proper way, but like Goldsmith's score for the Alien fits the Alien to a T. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like it fits so well into just this movie that if you put it in a different movie, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't fit.
I don't know if it'd fit, right? It wouldn't fit in Aliens. It wouldn't fit in Resurrection. It wouldn't fit in Alien versus Predator. It wouldn't fit in very many other sci-fi alien type movies or even horror movies. Maybe there's another one out there it could fit. I just don't feel like it could and have the same effect, right? It's subtle. It's good. When it's there, it's really good. It's kind of old timey, it's 70s. It's very old school, and I like that. It's creepy. I think it fits that Lost in Space kind of feel, and or turmoil in space. Whereas I feel like you could almost take the Thing's soundtrack and put it in
a number of movies.
A number of movies, or at least a number of Carpenter movies. And I don't mean that as a shot against Carpenter at all, because he definitely has his style. It's unique. Yeah. And that's why I'd almost give it to him, because I love it more.
And I think a lot of people have stolen that style.
I think so too, and I'm okay with that, because the more we have of that, the better, right? So that's the reason I'm giving it to Alien, as much as it kills me too, because I'm more of a Carpenter fan, if that makes sense. And that's one thing that I will agree with Chris on. That was his choice as well. So we're going to give Alien the score on this one. Just because he thinks that orchestra also fits better in a horror movie setting than electric does.
Yeah.
But the only time I would disagree with that is Halloween 2. When you take that original score and you just kind of ramp it up a little bit.
I like the ramped up score.
I do too. I like that, and I love the Thing score. I absolutely and I do prefer it. It just like I said, it just fits. Okay, so I guess that's 2 to Alien and 1 to the Thing. So now we move on to kills, and I'm gonna let you take kills first.
Okay. I gave this one to the Thing.
Okay.
Alien has that one big kill whenever Kane's on the table.
The
table.
Now it is a very strong, iconic kill.
It is, but I've got an argument for that.
Okay.
Or against that. Just about every other kill in the movie is off screen.
Yeah.
You've got Dallas, which the one with Dallas works because you're left imagining what happened to him in that air vent.
Yeah.
The one with Brett was really creepy. You know, where the alien was hanging on the chains, but they don't show much other than him grabbing him. Lambert's was implied. I guess Ash's was kind of cool in a shocking way. I mean, that to me would be the second best death in that movie.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely think that it's a little short-sighted when it comes. It's more psychological than anything.
More Hitchcockian.
It is. Yeah.
But I give it to the Thing because to me, Norris's death is it almost trumps the scene in Alien.
Well, you've basically got this situation, right? And where you've got, because there's some cool deaths in the Thing, and they come in a lot of different ways, right? It's not just the Thing; it's a lot of different ways. But there's several of them that are similar. And there's some off screen. You're basically doing Battle of the Iconic Deaths here, right? You've got the table scene, and then you've got the other table scene. That's basically it.
Yeah.
So which one is better to you? Now, the ripping out of the chest is iconic. It's great. But somebody zapping a dude in the chest with a defibrillator, and then the stomach opens up and eats his hands, and he pulls his hands off. I mean, that is amazing.
Well, and then the head falls off and crawls away like a spider.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And that leads me back to what I said about the characters in the Thing, right? Where and it's not. I mean, and all of them are smart. Even the helicopter pilot, McCready, right? He's Kurt Russell. He is just as smart, right? He figures out a lot of stuff here too. That every bit of that organism, like every organism in the body, is able to defend itself and almost living, right? Like you have to burn it down to ashes, every single cell of the Thing, because as you see in Norris's death there, his head, the body of his head rips off.
Yeah. And
then becomes its own thing, right? And then it's just it sets in this self-defense mode where it tries to run away and get away. And I don't know, I think that's incredible. That not just because that particular part of the creature in the story is incredible, but I love that.
And in that scene, Copper also dies, and they had a paraplegic with no arms, play that scene.
Yes.
When they cut away, it's so good. And then besides that, you've got the blood test scene, where they're sitting on the couch.
Very good scene.
Yeah, Palmer ends up eating. What's the guy's name? The guy with the glasses. Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's Windows.
Windows, yes.
Yeah.
Because there's Windows and Mac in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, that whole scene is amazing as well.
Oh, it's awesome, man. It's awesome. It's tense, and you're waiting, and that's I'm saying. It's what better way as a group of guys to figure out who's who and what's what than to have this, and then of course him defend, them trying their damnedest to keep him out. He breaks back in and then holds them off with dynamite, and then like we're gonna do this my way. Yeah.
So what did you say on this?
Oh, on kills, yeah, I gave it to the Thing. Alien had a couple good kills. Brett's kill was good. The table kill was good. Some tense moments. The weird hug in the vent with Dallas. They left it open to the imagination, but also looking back now, like the alien's reaching his arms out like a big hug, and it's kind of weird to me. I don't know. Yeah. But with the Thing, you had a lot of different kinds of kills. You had the flamethrower kill. You had the You had the different assimilation kills, some of them off screen, some of them not, or most of them off screen. Mac killing, he shot well, the one guy.
You killed an innocent man.
Yeah. It looks like he wasn't infected. Well, that makes you a murderer.
Yeah.
You know, but what do you do, right? I mean, Clark. It was Clark.
Yeah.
Who was played by Richard Masur, I think. He was
Yes.
Stanley in Stephen King's It, the TV movie.
He was in a lot of things back.
A lot of stuff, yeah. I think he was in like My Girl and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of TV stuff too, MASH and stuff. Just Norris's death. Well, I should say Copper's death more than Norris, because Norris had a heart attack. But Copper's death there on that table was amazing. And then you got to see some of the most iconic special or practical effects in any movie, right? Still to this day, I think they're incredible. And Chris pretty much feels the same way. He picked the Thing as well.
I think you have to.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you've got, it's kind of, Alien is a little more similar to some of those earlier horror movies like Halloween, where there's less deaths and there's a slow burn, and it's just uses more psychological and ambiguous things than, which, I mean, I guess the Thing is almost the king of ambiguous everything, but I think it just does it better. I think there's more creative ways with the practical effects. I guess so. Since that gives it the Thing, it's now 2-2.
Right. This is the deciding one.
This is the deciding one, right? So scare factor. What say you?
Oh, this was a tough one too. But in the end, I had to go with Alien.
Yeah.
Just the fact, the Thing is so claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And you don't know who it is. And that's the main thing about the Thing, just the claustrophobia and the not knowing. Which you could say the same about Alien, and then it's just which do you like better? The psychological part of Alien that just scares the crap out of me is there are a lot of times the alien is in the scene, and if you've never seen the movie, you don't realize it's not in the scene. Like in the escape pod scene with Ripley, in the bowels of the ship. When it gets Brett.
Yeah.
And,
and it kind of falls, just drops down slow and then raises and then
where you don't know where it's hiding.
Yeah.
And that scare factor, and then the fact, when it comes out, it eats through your chest and everything. The Thing assimilates you, but the parasite that is Alien, it literally eats its way out of you, and to me that was a little scarier to me.
Yeah, I agree. I picked Alien as well, and I think that overall the Thing is scary. I wasn't like, maybe it was just because everything was so wild and so busy, like you said, that it didn't really creep me out as I watched it. But I think the concept is pretty scary, right? You don't know who could be the Thing, who's infected. You know that there's only one alien and there's one xenomorph and there's one Thing, out there. But that is the thing too. In these dark corridors and nooks and crannies of this ship, somehow this Thing can still wedge its way into small corners and the pipes or whatever it was at the end when it was stowed away. And I think the concept of the Thing and everyone else around you is a little more realistic. I think it's very creepy. Maybe some people would say it's more creepy because it is a realistic thing. It's a realistic reaction to something. I mean, you've seen it with the pandemic and everything else, how people can treat other people, just because they might be infected with something, right? So I don't know. I think there's a point to be made, right? A valid point to be made for the Thing, but I think just giving the setting and the like Chris said, which by the way, I'll just go ahead and let you know now, he said the same thing. He agrees with us on the alien being more scary because you're in the bowels of space, right? You're still 6 weeks out from Earth. You woke up early. There's nothing left. I just don't see anything scarier than that. Like the Antarctic is creepy. It's scary. You're isolated. It's cold. It's sub-zero temperatures, extreme sub-zero temperatures. Cold settings like The Shining, that's pretty creepy. But there's nothing like space, right? I think this one creature, you don't know where it's at, and it's obviously larger, faster, and stronger than you. Whereas the thing just kind of sneaks around. It's a host, like it's a parasite, right? So it's got to survive. The xenomorph is just there to kill you.
I think the thing is more tense than scary.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
would
definitely
agree.
got its scary moments, but I'd say it's more of a film where the tension gets you than the scares do.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that. So that makes it 3-2, the Alien, and it looks like the Alien wins out. Now, I would probably personally pick the Thing on any given day to watch. I do. I think I like the Thing more as a movie. What do you think? I guess, do you think that the Alien is a more influential or better rounded film? For sure.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I couldn't answer. I'd have to really think about that, and I'm still not sure that we made the right decision.
Yeah, I know. Just the categories that we chose that kind of falls in line with our other versus categories. This is how today we stack it up, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're both. The thing that's so interesting about these films too is that they both released and had mixed to negative reviews at initial release.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it wasn't till home release and then much later down the road that they both gained more of a following and more appreciation from critics and viewers.
I think Alien had a better reception than The Thing at the time.
It did, yeah, it did a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's still pretty. I think it was still pretty mixed, whereas The Thing was just more negative.
Yeah. Now we could take this a step further. Which director was more influential?
Ridley Scott or John Carpenter?
I
guess it depends
on this channel, but
yeah. I think that's a good episode down the line. I think I know who I would pick right now, but I mean,
yeah,
maybe that's something we should look into before. Maybe people let us know if they want to see that.
Yeah, on the other side, you've got Alien and Blade Runner and Gladiator, and yeah, that'd be a tough one. Yeah,
but in what Carpenter fizzled out by the '90s, as far as good work, like good movies, the stuff he had through the '70s and '80s is so influential, so unique that, man, it's hard to top. It's hard to top Carpenter in the '80s for sure, especially the early '80s. Also, I got just one last note. The dogs may not have survived in The Thing, but at least Jonesy the cat in Alien did survive. So there's another one too. There's another reason. All right, everybody, that's the way the cookie crumbles today. We'll see if it changes the next time, but until then.
Leave your scathing comments in the comments section.
Yes, please do. We look forward to hearing them. See y'all later.